Hello, Professor Lohman. My name is Alberto Ramos Jr., and according to the intelligence test, I have musical intelligence, which corresponds to question number 4 with the Chapter 9 homework. Alright, so Part A is asking, find the time it takes to accelerate the flywheel to the first angular velocity if the angular acceleration is its symbol. So we're going to use our equation to find angular velocity, which is angular velocity, the final, equals the angular velocity initial plus angular acceleration times time. And we're trying to find time. Since we know that the flywheel is at rest at the beginning, we can assume that the initial angular velocity is 0. Once we plug this in, we can solve for time. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is divide the acceleration on both sides, and we get time is equal to angular velocity divided by the angular acceleration. For part B, they asked to find the angle through which the flywheel will have turned during the time it takes for it to accelerate from rest up to angular velocity. And how we would solve this problem is by using our equation to find the angle, which is equal to the angle is equal to the initial angular velocity times time plus half times angular acceleration times time squared. And we're trying to find the angle. First thing we know of is that the initial velocity is equal to 0. And with that, this part of the equation cancels itself out. And we are left with the angle is equal to half times angular acceleration times time squared. And that would be our answer. Part C is asking to find the second time as the motor is turned off and the brakes are applied. So we can assume that the final angular velocity is equal to 0, and the equation we're going to use for this problem is going to equal the second angular velocity is equal to the first angular velocity plus acceleration times the second time. The problem gives us that the acceleration is equal to -5, so we can plug that in here. And since our final angular velocity is 0, we can plug that in at the end of this one. And we are trying to find our second time. So with this, we're just going to subtract the first angular velocity and that gives us a -5. Angular acceleration times the second time. Divide by the acceleration, and we get the second time is equal to the first angular velocity divided by 5 times the angular acceleration.